Hi, this is going to be fly tying. It's a the fly is a sort of a very impressionistic crayfish pattern. One that I had a lot of luck with through the years. It's I'm not a very innovative fly tyer, and even this one is mostly a ripoff of ideas from Russell Blessing's Woolly Bugger or maybe Dave Whitlock's Near Enough Crayfish. In fact, I decided to tie this after Mr. Whitlock's crayfish proved to be too difficult for me. Uh, One thing that I see with professional videos a great deal of the time is that they'll say, "Yeah, take a 4 times long streamer hook or whatever, put your vise and get going," uh, or they'll mention something about thread but be very vague about it. I hope to be able to specify the materials to you a little better than that. First of all, the hook is a Gamakatsu S11 4L2H in size 4. That's their 4 times long streamer hook. I used to tie these on 5263 Tiemcos, but I just eventually began to feel that this was a superior hook for my purposes. We'll get that debarbed, get it in the vise. Then from that point, the rest of the materials are roughly in order. 35,000 lead wire. You can be more environmentally correct and use non-lead wire, but I found that it's more difficult to machine, as it were, than the lead. Then we're going to be tying in some tailing materials. That'll be black crystal flash, round rubber legs, round typically in brown, and then some sort of speckled rubber leg material. The fleck materials. That'll comprise our tail, along with a couple of kind of so-so woolly bugger feathers. The kind that would be not quite good enough to tie a real woolly bugger tail with, but you might don't want to pass up altogether too. Those will form what I think of as the claws of this fly. People might wonder why I don't have any sort of form or separation to those claws. Well, when crayfish flee, they flee backward and they hold their claws together to better make themselves hydrodynamic, I suppose. So, with that, I should mention, I suppose, as long as I'm being a bugaboo about the bugbear about this, that the thread is uni 6/0, and the chenille we'll use for this is medium trilobal in a variety of colors. In my part of the country, it seems that kind of a blue-green body is prevalent with crayfish, and that this olive stuff does a pretty good job of that. The Antron seems to provide kind of a sparkle and kind of a shimmer that is superior to conventional chenille. If you look at crayfish in the water, they're not often very clean-cut looking animals. They seem to be kind of fuzzy, kind of as if something might be growing on them. Then, lastly, we'll have a pair of lead eyes here. Originally, when I tied this fly, I used copper for this, copper eyes. Copper, well, then the price of copper went up. These disappeared from the market. I still like that, but I found that these metallic painted eyes from Wapsie will do just as well. If you can see that, I know it's backward, but it's a dumbbell eyes, metallic brown and large. So with that, I think I named all the materials. We can give this thing a whirl. I like to start the thread a couple of eye spaces back. That'll serve as sort of an index point for a couple of things. And then we'll lay down a good thread base on here, stopping about a 1/4 inch, about a 1/4 inch of shank left, and then we'll wind our way back and we'll stop there, get rid of our tag, retighten the hook of the vise. Then we'll get our lead eyes in place with your typical figure 8 wraps. What I'm doing here, the lead eyes are on opposite the hook point, what we're trying to do is get this fly to be certain to hook up in the water. We'll do a number of figure-8 wraps, and then try to cinch those down even tighter with that. Go around each eye a time or two. I found that you can't be, the wretched excess is about where you need to be to get these eyes locked atop the shank. Then we'll double over a short length of lead wire. The old 35 is plenty heavy enough, but I found and I thought about pulling some weight out of the fly over the years. You could do that with non-lead wire, or you could get a lighter gauge lead wire as well. We form kind of an eyed loop here. We move the thread so that we'll catch the narrow part first to get that cinched well, and then from that point we'll just take real tight, vigorous wraps, trying to center the lead atop the shank. Then again, we'll stop that about a 1/4 inch shy of the back of the hook bend, and then we'll trim these with junky scissors at a real shallow angle there, so that we can get a little bit of a taper downward. Be careful as you press that down, so now the lead's under your nails or some such thing. Then, just to make sure that everything is as secure as possible, we'll take some Zap-A-Gap and get some coating in here, just sort of saturate all of that. Looks like a pretty decent amount. If you get too much, it's perfectly permissible to take a paper towel and dab a little of the excess away. Now we'll get back down to the business end of this fly. We'll start with our crystal flash. We want about 8 strands, or 4 strands doubled, as the case may be. We'll wrap that around the thread. Bring it to the top of the hook. Lash it down. Then we want these to be, we can trim this later too, but it's about the overall length of the hook in length on the black. Then next, we'll go with our round rubber legs. And it's really the same story. Just wrap a length around the thread. Bring it to the top. Draw it in. Get that lashed down. You can kind of wiggle this stuff around a little bit as you need it. Then these should be about, roughly a 1/4 inch longer than the crystal flash. Then we've got our sparkle material. All this, you can call this antenna. It can be pretty noticeable on a crayfish. You can also call it just some flash and something that looks like life moving along in here. The sort of lively wiggle that most things exhibit in nature. And about to there. Then we'll take 2, this is woolly bugger marabou, but it's not the best quality. It's the kind of feather that you might think, am I going to actually make a tail with that? Well, this makes pretty good material for the what I think of as the claws on this fly. We'll pair them up like so, roughly, and then squish them down. Try to get a little bit of division in there, and then they're going to be about that original length of the hook, so that these materials will extend beyond my get that lashed down. You needn't be terribly tidy here, because there'll be other materials that that'll bulk this up further anyway. I'm going to trim off the butts. Clean that up a little bit with thread. Then we need a saddle hackle feather. This is material from the bugger pack material from Whiting. And if you look, it's nicest if you don't want your leg. These will represent more or less the legs. It's nicest if you don't have the legs too grossly long, and it's also nicest if you can incorporate a little bit of the fuzz down in here. So we'll cut this feather about here, trim some of the fuzz away so that we can get this tied in. Tie it in with the concave side forward and the shiny side to the back. Then, one more little tying trick for the body. This Antron chenille again. You want a length of close to 2 inches longer than your tie-in point. All right. We'll start this right here. The reason for that is what we're going to do to make kind of a tapered body on this fly. This about half. Advance the thread to about the halfway point. We'll take 1, 2, 3 wraps. Tie that in. And trim it off. Then we'll commence to wind the body on the longer part of the chenille. Advance our thread forward, of course. And we'll try to work this so that we go up and over. The thread that we should have had waiting there. There we go. Trim that, clean that up. Clean it up a little more. Get a few wraps in there. And lastly, we'll advance this. You know that the crayfish are decapods having 10 legs, so we'll try to do 5 wraps here. So it's a fairly open spiral to the back. There we are. We'll draw that around, come up this way with the butt end of the feather, tie that down. Provide a whip finish. Perhaps a little bit of Sally Hansen's head cement here. And you've got a quick and easy pattern that gets down to the bottom, really has the look of life about it. I've supplied these to a friend who spin fishes with them with a little bit of additional weight. He's caught nearly every kind of fish that swims in Wisconsin. This, for me, has primarily been a smallmouth fly through the years, and one that I frankly don't use as much anymore because more and more of my fishing is from a boat rather than wading. Sunken patterns, deep weighted patterns are just difficult to fish from a boat. But for wade fishermen fishing upstream into pockets or swinging down into riffles and so on, the fly will ride like this each and every time. The hook point stays clear and sharp. The one problem that you might have is you can wedge the eyes between stones if you're running it that deep, in which case you might think about retrieving a little faster or again tying your flies with just a little bit less weight. But that is, by the way, I forgot to tell you the name of this fly. This fly, because of its effectiveness, was dubbed the Extractor by my friends years ago. There you have it. Hope you can catch some fish with it. Thank you.